before we jump in, let me talk about our friends over at Vanguard Digital Printing Systems. They have a lot of different options in the market. They have flatbed options. They have roll-to-roll hybrid options. They have an option for every customer. Their American innovation and their options for expandability make it so they have the solution for any customer. Get it at Wensco.com.
What episode are we on?
60.
60. Who would have thunk it?
I thought for sure they'd have shut us down by now.
I'm sorry, we haven't been sued or nothing yet.
Yeah. Not even Judy's complained. I feel like we're doing okay then. So. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 60 of the Slightly Serious Sign podcast. This episode is sponsored by Nakusa, Vanguard, and Metamark. I almost messed it up for the first time. That would have been hilarious. So, as you noticed, probably when you got on this, there was ads at the beginning of this. So, yeah, we got some sponsors to pay for the new studio. So, thank you guys. We appreciate it. And yeah, you'll hear a version of those ads for the next 40 or so episodes until we change it. So, that's all I had to say.
You're going to introduce the guest, or are we just going to sit here and stare at each other?
Intro. You were looking at me. I didn't know if you had anything you wanted to add. Yeah, I'll let the guest introduce yourself, but Carley, thanks for coming. We appreciate it. If you wanted to tell people kind of who you are, how long you've been in the industry, and what your current role is.
So my name's Carley. I've been in the industry for about a year, just over. I work at Signarama Troy National Branding as a project manager for our national side.
Perfect. So what does that role entail?
Yeah, I was going to say.
So I am given certain clients that I work with, and when they have a location that's ready for new signage, they reach out to me or they reach out to my director of project management and tell us the address, all the stuff, what they're looking for, if it's interior or exterior signage. And so I just start the process. We do sign code, get a site survey scheduled for them, get them over to design, get all the approvals and permits, and then fabricate the sign and get it installed for them wherever they need.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So just going back more to the intro side, because Domingo always gets mad when I don't ask this question. So you're based out of, well, I always say the Detroit area, but you can tell me specifically where. But what are your favorite places to eat in the Detroit area?
One of my really good friends owns Hudson Cafe. There's 3 locations in Detroit, Troy, and Northville. The best brunch spot that you could ever go to. So probably there.
What kind of food is it?
Breakfast and brunch.
Do they have chicken fried steak?
I don't think so.
Then I'm out. I was almost on my way. I was waiting for a yes answer because I drive.
How far away is it?
I'd do it.
That's funny. So yeah, we kind of want to talk about with kind of just what's going on in the sign industry too. Just kind of I see a lot of the stuff you post on LinkedIn in terms of kind of some unique types of signage and alternatives. So kind of want to talk about what options are out there for companies when they're looking for just like a standard sign. What kind of I don't want to say alternative options, but kind of different options that we don't typically see, or something that's maybe easier or cheaper, or somewhere along those lines. So we'll kind of go through all of that. But
how did you hear about the podcast?
You guys started the podcast when I first started in the industry, and I was just really interested. So I started looking up sign podcasts, and you guys came up, and I started listening to you like right as I started working there.
This is your sign knowledge as us?
Yeah,
it's bad.
pretty much, yeah.
Holy crap.
Well, take it for what it's worth.
It was Jose in Chicago said the same thing. He said, "You know how much stuff I learned that nobody ever told me in the whole time that I've been here?" I said, "Okay, that just means someone told you. That doesn't mean that it's right, though." So you heard it from us. Yeah. So we think so, but who knows? So anyways, where I wanted to start with this, what are some of your now that you've been in this a year? Like I just had this discussion. Because I was taking a picture of a sign when I was with my wife, and she's like, you don't have to look at every single sign that you walk by. And I said, not all of them, but some of them are pretty bad. So then I got to take a picture. I need someone else to document this for me. So what are some of your I would say pet peeves that you see with current signage?
I have a lot, I feel like. I really enjoy good signage. I will stop my friends if we're leaving a restaurant or something and I see a good sign, or I'll make them pull off the road. I saw a really cool church sign a couple of weeks ago, and I made them pull off the highway into the church parking lot so I could look at the sign a little bit deeper. So I don't know. Maybe just, I hate when raceways are like they tried to match, but it's obviously such a wrong color, like that type of thing. Or when signs are half lit, that drives me nuts. Or just the hot spots.
Yeah, we know what kind of LEDs they are when they're half lit.
Yeah. It's funny how when we're traveling, we're always looking at the sign, the same thing going, and then we look at it. We'll be at the airport and all of us are doing touchy-feely, trying to peel it. What kind of material is it? What kind of adhesive is it?
Yeah, we got the same thing. Well, it's me, especially if me and the 3 boys are traveling together or we're all together. Like we're all here, we're all in this business and we're looking at every sign. And I send a lot of text to a lot of people when I see when I see some really bad signage. I can't say what I put in the tags, what brand it is, but there's a certain brand I always say, hey, this must be more of that brand.
Yeah, when all the LEDs are out. Yeah.
Or the vinyl. I mean, we have a vinyl brand. We have a vinyl brand and an LED brand that gets sent out every time I see one. It must be this brand.
Yeah.
Can't say the brand though.
The one lately that's been killing me is basically all window graphics. I feel like they're installed poorly 7 out of 10 times. I don't understand how this happens, but
the bubbly window graphics that were just, I see those a lot, and
it's horrible. And it's not that, like we were just talking about, I saw Speedway the other day. I pulled in and they were putting up the graphics when I got there. I said, oh, this is hilarious, because I've been making fun of all of these graphics that are going up. So I literally looked at my center console. I was like, what are the odds I have a squeegee and a knife on me right now? I was like, it feels pretty good. And I did. But then I walked up there. I didn't say anything because I don't want to it's just, this guy's just wearing a regular Speedway shirt, right? He clearly just works here. And they were like, good. And then that was like proved my point further. I was like, it's really not that hard. Like if you just like give it a general try, like you can put them up without them looking horrible.
He might have been a sign person in a past life.
Could have been. Yeah. It was just a young kid and they were like, square. There was very few bubbles, and I was like, this is how easy it is if you just like try it a little bit. But like staples, I mean, everywhere we go, like we
every
did the
single
one here.
staple store.
I've been to 2 in Michigan. The one we went to in Texas, all of them are always bubbled. I don't understand. Maybe it's in their installation, but the bigger the bubbles, the better.
Maybe they live life the same way I do, where precision and safety just cost you time. That'd be the precision side of it. Just get it up.
But I feel like you should pick one, right? Like it should either be square with bubbles or crooked with no bubbles. They get both. They didn't even
I don't even know if it was bubbles. It was more like creased together.
Well, that too.
It's like a crease.
So
listen, there's certain things that don't exist in my life. Tape measures, and levels.
We know.
They just waste time.
But you get it like eyeball level at least. It's not that hard. Like just hold it up. I don't know. So that's been my...
So I have a question for you. Is there any project that stood out that you were like extremely proud of that you guys did, the company did, or a person did?
Yeah, I think almost all of our projects have a different aspect to them that's really interesting and gives a learning opportunity. Right now, one of my friends is opening a Batteries Plus franchise location.
Okay.
So I'm doing their signage for that, which I'm very excited about. It should be getting installed any week here. So I think that's one that I'm going to be especially proud of just because I got to work with a close friend on it.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
And it's complete windows and everything.
It's a window graphic, a channel letter set, and a monument sign.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So and then they want a pylon sign later in the future because they have 2 driveways. So.
Okay.
Makes sense. What are some, like when you're dealing with some of these big accounts, right? A lot of them do multiple signs, but say that maybe you run into some people that don't do a bunch of them, right?
Yeah.
What are some of like common like misunderstandings that people have about signs when they're coming to ask you guys questions like, oh, can we do this? And you're like, yeah, it's not really like a thing.
A lot of them think that we can have the sign done by tomorrow. They'll be in California and they'll say, I need this next week. Like, I cannot get a channel letter set to you by next week. I won't even have the survey and the design done for you. But we can get it done quick, but not that quick.
Yeah.
I think one of the challenges that, and you're going to say yes to this, but I think that a lot of people don't understand the ordinance or, some of the requirements in different locations, different buildings. And, like here, we can't have 3 signs outdoors displaying our company, correct?
Correct.
I believe.
That's a lot of places where it's, so you get into that where, okay, well, you can put a window graphic on the inside of your film, inside of your glass, and it's not an outside sign anymore. Like we've had a lot of companies have to do that.
And I think that's probably some of the challenges that you run into as well.
Yeah, that and just the permitting timeline. I have a client that most of our locations have been on the West Coast, and it takes several months to get permits over there. And then we had one on the East Coast 2-3 weeks ago where we applied for permits and got approved ones in 4 days. So I got to reach out and he was like, the full permit's approved? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, it usually takes like 2.5-3 months. And I'm like, different state, different jurisdiction.
I think it's a lot of people don't understand that you can't just go put your sign up. You can't just go cement something in the ground, put it up and light it.
Or you can.
You can. But and same thing, even on your building, you can't just like go put up a big lit sign on your building. You have to.
Well, there's going to be, requirements, like you just mentioned, East Coast and West Coast, you run into sustainable products now. You can't have it you can have it on the East, but it's going to be more like you got to look at what's going to happen over on the West Coast because you can't have certain acrylics, certain adhesives, there's certain things you cannot have. And I think those are challenges.
Do you run into franchises that, so say they have like 1 or 2 locations like here, right? And then they start spreading out where they have the same format for signs, but then run into situations where the sign that they put up, here in West Michigan, like when they go to put up in Illinois is like, no, you can't do that here. Yeah. Does that come up like frequently?
Not super frequently, but sometimes we do where either it's the city saying you can't have that specific color, or it's the landlord saying your logo has to be all black, and we have to completely change up their logo a little bit before we're able to fabricate it.
Is that, how frequent do you think is there a project where the type of sign that they wanted is not allowed by like city ordinance or landlord?
For city ordinance, we make it pretty clear because before the site survey, we say, hey, we know you said you wanted this sign, but we looked at the sign code and you just can't do that through the city. So they usually know like right out of the gate, they can't do that. So it's pretty easy. But when it gets to the landlord, it's a little bit different because we've gotten client approval already and everything. And then we go to send it to the landlord and they'll say, you can't put any new holes in the building. You have to use the existing mounting brackets. And we're just like, awesome. Sounds great.
Yeah.
So
in those situations, like they would know. It's going to be behind the sign.
That's true.
They're not going to know till you move out, and by that time you're done paying rent.
True. This is not recommended. Just making an observation here.
Yeah, don't do that. I'm just saying. I mean, I would never do that.
Accept any liability for you drilling holes when the landlord says you can't. But yeah, I was just interested to see like how often that comes up because I know like we'll be working on projects, right, where someone's like, hey, what do you recommend for this, right? And we'll get like the whole layout, and then like a month or so will go by and then they'll come back and be like, okay, what do you recommend for this? And it's like a totally different sign, but obviously the same company name. And you're like, it's interesting. But you don't get the background, right? You don't know why it got completely changed. But I always wonder how frequently that happens where the type that they want, they can't have. And I know like when, like there's a lot of interesting types of signage out there, but we run into frequently where the city will only let you allow so much, right? Or maybe they won't even let you have backlit at all, right? That's like, oh, we don't do lit signs here. It's not allowed. Yeah. So just interesting. I know it's something that obviously we don't run into it a lot because we don't deal with them, but we know our customers are running into it.
We actually prefer them. They just put the sign up and then get told they can't put that one up because then what?
They got to build another one.
They got to build another one.
Hey, and it's easier to ask for forgiveness and permission.
Yeah, sometimes.
Maybe not from the city, but.
Yeah.
That's the way I live my life.
Yeah. It's the same like with temporary signage. Like I've seen people that buy, they'll buy like a bunch of Signicades and then you go back there and they're still there. You'd be like, yo, you didn't need them? They're like, oh no, we put them out. They just sent them right back. It's like, yeah, I get it. So yeah, I understand how that happens. But, so the question I want to ask next, I guess, is when you do get a customer that comes in, like how do you make sure that they get the sign that they're looking for? So what you just commented on my thing this morning about the backlit signs and color, right? So frequently someone will think that they're getting a certain color, and then by the time you get it up in the sunlight with backlit, it's not quite the same color that it was before. How are you guys ensuring that what the customer sent you, that by the time it gets on their building, that's exactly what they were looking for?
We have a great design team and our proofs are very diligent with everything that we have on there. The colors are pretty spot on. I haven't seen one where I've looked at the proof and then looked at the sign before it went out and thought, ooh, that's a different color. So it's very clear to the client before they approve the brand book.
And that's just from like trial and error on your guys' part in terms of with what LEDs you use and what substrate you use, what vinyl you use, all of that just is basically just testing, like, okay, if we print it this color, by the time we backlit, it'll be the right color when it comes out.
Exactly. Like we're aware that if you have an illuminated channel letter set, the sample vinyl piece isn't going to look the same just like laying on my desk than it is in front of some LEDs on an actual channel letter.
Yeah. So, because I think we run into problems where that's what you were commenting, I think, this morning about the double color. Because I think what people want is like, oh, I want the brightest sign possible. And just be like, the brighter you get, the dimmer your vinyl gets. Correct. Typically, right? I mean, I just saw, I think it's one of the big paint companies. I want to say it was like Sherwin-Williams just sent out like this whole catalog on their paints versus the lights that you put in the room, right? That nobody would ever think about, right? But if you put, a cool white versus a warm white and you have a red or a blue, like how that changes the actual color of the room. Because I'm sure they're getting complaints where it's like, hey, we thought it was this color, but then we painted it and it's not that color. Be like, well, it is.
Yeah.
But
we have that in our house, remember? Where the walls are the exact same color, but when the light shines on and one looks gray, one looks blue, right in the top corner above the door. Like the walls are the exact same color. But when there's no sunlight coming through the skylights, you look at that corner, they look like two different colors. Yeah. And they're the exact same paint.
They could have changed their ingredients over time though. So they're just like a tad off, or just one wall's dirty. F1's.
That could be.
I would say that's probably the correct choice. Or the correct answer.
It wasn't actually the same color. That he grabbed the wrong color.
I think it runs in the family too with not wiping down the walls, but I'm not going to mention any things around here either. So.
Wait. I don't know the story, but I'm guessing he was putting up the vinyl before he wiped the walls down.
He didn't wipe the walls down. He just put it up.
So come on, dude. If you're watching this, the podcast studio is finished now. All the walls are done. I don't 100% know what I'm doing, right? I know just enough to get these up. I mean, I think they look pretty decent, but
they look great. All bumpy and all.
But there's some times where I just didn't, I don't know what the way I was supposed to do it perfectly, right? Because when I'm running into a corner, I don't really know how to line it up properly. I have a general idea on how to do it, but I couldn't figure it out. So sometimes you had to put it on the wall 2, 3, 4 times before you got it right. And every time we peeled it off, there was a little more stuff on the liner than there was clean. Before. So, the walls were clean. By the time we put the vinyl up, we just put the dirt back on the wall, though, was the problem. So, these are temporary graphics.
You're going to redo them now?
Oh, no. I think they look fine. Luckily, we used thick enough material that it hit it. So, but anyways, that's the story. I
apologize to all you guys that are crappy vinyl up here.
I bet they'd give you a job at Staples applying their window graphics.
In a heartbeat.
You'd fit in.
Mine would look too good to be at Staples, but not good enough to work at a sign shop. I'm somewhere in the middle there. That's why I work here. I don't work at a sign shop. But anyways, the studio's done, so hopefully you guys can see it on the wall.
I'm glad Rick's sitting right there, because Rick's covering up the 63-year-old picture of me.
But we'll put it on the big wall next time.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, you mean that one right there with the laptop?
No. It's down here on the ground.
There's a picture right down here on the ground.
It's right behind Rick.
Is that you right there?
I'm in a bunch of these, yeah. Look, that's looks like I'm 40 there. The picture behind Rick makes me look like I'm 63.
Yeah, but isn't that your age?
Rick's laughing because he knows.
That's what your granddaughter said.
My granddaughter thought I was 63. She's a little confused.
I said, you're lucky we put it on the wall where we did, because you look 63 years old in this picture. So, anyways.
Did you listen to that podcast? My granddaughter filled out this thing that said she thought I was 63 years old. And then gray hair and brown eyes. And I'm blue eyes. My hair's not gray, and I'm only 49.
Grayish,
That's what I get.
Maybe that's what she was hoping.
Yeah. What? She just had to guess the age.
She used to be my favorite too.
Maybe she wrote it back. Oh wait, no, that would put you in the 90s.
Yeah.
Or
it was upside down.
30s.
36.
Yeah,
36
there
is
you go.
closer.
She got confused.
Maybe it was upside down though. It was supposed to be 90 and a backwards
93.
3.
You know what? This is why I don't like you or your kids.
It's fair. Sorry to interrupt you guys, but I just want to take a minute to talk about Nakusa, the name behind R-Tape. R-Tape's the #1 application tape out there, but they are more than just tape now. Nakusa has a full range of products out there. Their new one is called NextBond. This is a UV cured adhesive. Why does that matter? It's an eco-friendly and durable option, but comparable to most of the eco-friendly options, this is a cost-effective product. So if you're looking for an eco-friendly product or a durable product or just in general a good vinyl, NextBond is going to be the one for you. This is available at Wensco.com as well as all of their other products. So check it out at Wensco or reach out if you have any questions. Oh, and don't forget to use your Nakusa bucks. Have you heard about Metamark? Metamark is a company that sells premium graphic solutions for commercial and fleet signage. So whether that's walls or it's vehicles or it's tables or doors, we loved it so much we put it all over the podcast studio. So you can check it out on our videos or at Wensco.com. Okay, so we were talking earlier about customers that they're looking for a specific type of sign and then maybe the city ordinance doesn't let them do it, the landlord doesn't let them do it. How do you guys kind of help steer the customer into something where what they wanted versus what they can actually do is somewhere you guys can meet in the middle on?
Mm-hmm. Well, usually I try to reach out to the landlord before we even put a design book together to just see, is there anything that you don't allow? Sometimes they say, do whatever. And we get them the proofs and they say, oh, no, you can't do that. But when that does happen, we're very transparent with the client saying we spoke with your landlord. They said that you can't have an illuminated channel letter set and you can only have a non-illuminated pan sign. And so then we just show them the options, show them different sizes, and go from there. So just, we're very transparent with them.
Yeah, because I know, like, somebody was just talking about this. They were in Europe. I don't remember where. They were talking about, like, wow, their signs are so much cooler than ours. And be like, the problem is I don't think it's the customers coming in and be like, can I get the most boring sign that you have, right? Just give me a pan face, okay? Just print the logo on there and call it a day. But I think a lot of times we run to where it's where we started with, right? Be like, this would be a sweet idea. And then the city's like, no, you can't do that. You're like, oh, okay, well, let's scale way back. So that's a bummer. But I was just curious, like, how does it look from their side when they're like, how do they find a middle ground there when it's not what they started with, what they envision, where they want it to go? Like, what does that process look like on their side?
I think it varies because, like, if we have a client, because right now we're working with somebody that just wants 1-for-1, so it's fairly easy. Obviously, the landlord can change their requirements, but they usually don't. But for franchises, usually they're not too happy because they had an idea of what they wanted. They saw their friends with the same, like, franchise as them having that sign that they want, and then they can't have it. So usually they're a little bit upset, but they understand that there's something that we can do because we can't buy the building and change the landlord requirements, or that permitting just doesn't allow it.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. Sometimes you just got to work with what you work with.
Yeah. That, and if you can't have something cool on the outside, you have more room for a cool lobby sign. Yeah.
How often does budget or size become the actual issue with the sign, right? Where what they envisioned, they had, like, the idea on cost was so far off from what actually would end up costing.
For franchises that are paying for their signs themselves, quite often you have a design, you show them, and they give you the approval, you get landlord approval, and then you go to put the quote together, send it their way, and they're like, we need to go back a couple steps. But not crazy, not too often, but sometimes, yeah.
Yeah. I was just finding it, like, even being in this industry, right? Like, if I was to quote a sign, I have no idea what the cost is going to be, right? Like, if I was to send it to somebody and be like, hey, I need this type of sign, how much is that going to cost? Like, I had someone ask me, like, hey, we're looking at putting a new store. I was like, okay, what type? And they went through they're like, how much do you think it's going to cost? I was like, no idea. He's like, what do you mean you have no idea? I'd be like, no clue. I said, I can tell you all I can tell you is what the material cost would be, that I know of. I said, but I have no idea what the labor cost is. Not even a clue. Right. It was like they were trying to put out like a monument sign, right? So we're gonna deal with drilling holes, cement, the whole thing. And I was like, I don't do any of that, right? Like, it's like all I do is sell the vinyl in the pan face that it was gonna go in. Like, besides that, no clue what it was gonna cost. So
I price these things out all day. Still, if somebody came up to me and said, what's a 10 by 10 channel letter set gonna run me? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it varies so much too, like on where the install is going to be too is obviously a big portion of it, and how much work is going to go into it, right?
Yeah, like, if you need a crane, do you need that? All comes into play. So it's very hard. I think you're right. I think that there are a lot of companies out there that think that signage is very cheap, but it's not cheap. Well, the materials can be cheap, but it's the labor, the designing, the
shipping,
all that
everything
stuff comes
that goes
into play.
into it. Yeah.
Especially on the bigger signs, shipping right now is just atrocious.
insane.
Like if you're putting this on an open trailer at this point, you might forget about it. We'd probably double the cost of your sign right now.
Even little ADA sign shipping is insane. It's doubled what it was a couple months ago, it seems like.
Yeah. It's lots of fun. Yeah. So that's what we're dealing with too, in terms of like materials. When people are like, oh, we just dealt with this ACM. Oh, can you guys ship it to, be like, no, be like, we can, but the answer is no. We could ship it to you, but you're losing way too much money for us to ship it to you.
You pay more in the shipping than you are in the freight or in the product.
I mean, at a certain point, right? Like if you're going to buy a full skid, then obviously it starts making sense. But if you're buying like 5 sheets, like the freight's more than the material is, which I'm sure is what you run into on the signs, right? Where it's a pretty straightforward sign, right? Like if you're making a 4x10 pan face and you're going to ship it, it's like, well, the pan face isn't that hard to make. The problem is it costs me just that much to ship it to you. So
we do have some great shipping partners. So our shipping is kind of staying a little bit more affordable on the freight end. But yeah, I could see in the next couple months it going up, especially for our projects in Canada. But
it's also the benefit too, like obviously you guys are a very large company, right? That's the other benefit besides what I was going to bring up too, with like what you run into with like the issues with colors, usually someone newer to the sign industry. So, a lot of times they haven't run into those issues, right? Where they put up a sign and they were like, yeah, let's make it as bright as possible. And then their red is like a light pink by the time they get out on the sign. And they're like, oh, well, I guess I didn't account for the fact that I put 75 LEDs in a 2x2 sign. But the other thing is obviously they have the ability to move it, right? Like if you're dealing with a smaller company, oftentimes they're going to have to just find someone to ship it or find someone to install it. I mean, that's the other part of it too, right? Versus using somebody that has it all in one, it makes it a little easier. And there's not going to be any surprises where they're like, oh yeah, I thought freight was going to be like $10, but it's actually $400. It's like, oh, okay. Yeah. So the other one I wanted to ask, obviously, I talked about this earlier, but the stuff you've been posting on LinkedIn with like the kind of unique types of signage. I know you guys do a lot of like wall graphic, that type of stuff too. What are some ways that if someone's looking to just put up like a pylon sign or a sign on their building, what are add-ons to that you think are either super valuable or every time you guys do it, the customer's like, I don't know why I didn't think about this in the first place?
I think having LEDs is great, especially in Michigan, because it gets dark at 4 p.m., 5 p.m. in the winters. So I think that's really important. And just having like vivid colors, maybe not as bright as you can have it, but something that's going to attract the eye and not just blend in with the 6 other pylons on that block.
I find it interesting when you say that with businesses I drive by every day and then don't realize that they're there. Like the one that example is there's a play cafe on Plainfield, like for kids and coffee and that kind of stuff.
Why can't we go there Sunday instead of that place way out in the middle of nowhere? It was an hour and 10 minutes from my house.
Well, you moved too far away.
Stupid birthday party.
But anyways, I had no idea it was there. I was like, oh, they must have just put it in. They've been there for like 3 years. I've probably driven by it 50 times. No idea that it was there, right? That's like, if I've driven by your company 40 times and I don't know that it exists, like that might be a signage issue. And maybe they can't put LEDs, right? Maybe this is all they have available. It may not be their fault at all. But oftentimes I'm like, if I didn't recognize that you were there for this long, like that's probably on you. Yeah. Like when Anna's house moved in, that's like right next to it. You wouldn't miss their sign, right? Like it's big, it's obnoxious. Like you see it when you drive by it. And a lot of times I'd probably driven by businesses 100 times and had no idea they were there just because it doesn't stand out. From
my office to the gym that I go to, it's like a 10-minute drive, mostly neighborhoods that I pass. And a company got a new sign a couple of weeks ago. Never seen the business before. Drove past it and I was like, oh, wow, somebody new moved into that empty office space. And I looked them up on social media and I was like, nope, they've been there for several years. Yeah. They just got a good looking sign.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, especially if you're a company that is dependent on foot traffic coming into your business, right? Yeah. Like if you're like a small restaurant, like there's same thing. Like I just will occasionally just recognize a sign, right? It'll be some restaurant I haven't seen there before. And you'd be like, it looks like they've been there forever, right? But I had no idea until like you recognize the sign. But so that's kind of where I go with it too, is like if you can't see the sign from the road, or if it doesn't draw people's attention, nobody's going
to know. Yeah.
Nobody's going to.
Well, there's a study that if you have like an attractive sign, it brings in 72% more foot traffic, just because people driving by or people seeing it or somebody saying, oh, you're looking for new flooring. There's this really cool flooring company that I pass every day.
You look more legit.
Yeah.
Are you seeing more requests for RGB lights?
Yeah. Quite a few, especially on our local side, the Signarama side. That I think is growing.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's also a different niche too. You're making signs for sign companies, right? Who do all these shows and they see all this sweet signages out there. I think oftentimes people just see whatever is near them, which a lot of times is pretty boring.
Yeah.
But I even think about like with boring signage, right? Say you have a pan face, even if like just flipping the colors. So like I always think about this, like with Family Fare, their logo is like, it's boring, right? But their signage is not the red logo on a white pan face. It's a red pan face with the logo in it. And I think even just that simple, right? Where it's like, instead of just having a white face with the logo on it, which is what everyone else does, if you have a colored face with the logo, it's more obnoxious than the other one is.
Well, I made a LinkedIn post the other day about people using negative space, which is just that it's having a darker thing with just the light around it, which really draws attention a nice bit more.
Yeah, we talked about that like in our cabinet class where we do like the reverse neon look, right? Where it's during the day, you can have a printed graphic on there, right? And it looks like a normal sign. And then at night, it's just basically the outline of your logo, essentially. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I can't remember, what's the car company that they base starts with a T. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's like Trulia. It's like a
Tesla?
No, it's like another one of the car delivery services. Anyways, that's what type of sign they have. It's literally just black and white. But at night, it's like easiest to recognize sign that's out there, right? It's bright. It's very definite, right? Because it's like a thin line of lights. Like it's super easy to see. And it's super simple. It's not like they did anything complex. They just did like, hey, when it's dark, this works. And in Michigan, anytime I drive by a business from basically October to now, basically, it's dark.
Well, yeah, I'm seeing a lot of day and night film everywhere now. Mm-hmm. So during the day, it's black and white, but at night, you have different colors and it pops out. I mean, it's starting to, all the automobiles are starting to go to that. There's a lot of places that are starting to switch over to that.
I was sitting, because Planet Fitness doesn't open until 5 on Mondays, which is stupid. Change your rules, Planet Fitness. Jeez.
You're just going to the wrong one. Mine's open all like 24/7.
Yeah, the ones that in this side of Michigan, they don't open till 5. But anyways, I'm sitting there looking at their sign, and every letter is a little different shade of color. and I was thinking to myself, whoever made this sign made it the exact same way I make dinner sometimes, where it's like, okay, well, what do I have? Well, I got one piece of fish. I got a little bit of cottage cheese. I got some ramen noodles. I got a cucumber, and I have a tortilla. Okay, that's dinner. I think that's what they did with the LEDs in that sign, because some are bright, some are dim, some are off purple, but the whole sign's that way. And I never recognized, and I've been there a bunch of times, but I was sitting there mad because I want to go inside. Yeah. And I got another 10 minutes.
And it's crazy how different like a dimly lit sign is that you see hotspots is versus a bright sign. Like I always think about whatever the pool place is on Alpine, when you drive by that place at night, you could I think they see them from the International Space Station at night.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
I don't know how that sign passed any ordinance at all. It's got to be about 40,000 lumens too bright for what it is.
Are you talking about Buc-ee's?
Yeah, exactly.
At night, man, that thing is lit up.
Yeah, but like you wouldn't miss that sign, right? But it's the same. Like if you get like a bright, even if you take a sign that currently is using bulbs, right? They've had bulbs for forever, right? It just slowly gets dimmer and dimmer and dimmer. And then you put LEDs, you run to that same situation where someone's like, oh, I didn't know this was here. Like, oh, this must be a new place. And be like, no, we just literally pulled bulbs out and put LEDs in, same face and everything. So I don't know. I think it's something that's overlooked, as simple as just take what you have and just make it as brighter,
more
or
elevated
as bright as you can. Yeah. Just to step up. So, what types of interior signage are you guys seeing that's becoming more popular now than it was before?
I think a lot of wall wraps. A lot more companies are just doing that. Company history walls, our local side is seeing that more and more. Just elevating the space a little bit. It seems like even like they're not doing illuminated lobby signs. Like they're just something simple to grab your attention, make you feel excited going to work every day, that type of thing.
Are you seeing this? Like with some of the bigger companies in Detroit where they're taking their lobbies, even there's not many customers coming in to see it, right? It's more like employees. Are you seeing more of that type of signage coming up?
Yeah. Just to get people excited, just to bring up the atmosphere, that type of thing.
Yeah.
Is it like resurfacing furniture or doors or something like the Metamark products that were touchy-feely right now?
No, more so just like wall graphics from what I'm seeing.
Okay.
I've seen a handful of tables that are getting wrapped like that, but
I think I see a lot of, we have a lot of vendors that are starting to promote wall graphics, fabric, wallpaper, those kind of things. And it almost seems like a trend. You got one person, two people doing it, and now all of a sudden, here they all come.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah, it comes in waves, right? But I think what they're seeing is exactly what you're talking about, right? Where it's like, I mean, even this, right? Like this took me way longer than it should have to do this. If you're listening on audio, I'm pointing at the wall. And
2 weeks is plenty enough. I can tell you that.
So this wall specifically took me 6 hours probably to do, which is way too long for what it is. But it would have taken me longer to paint it because I had to paint it and then I had to prime it. Then I had to wait for it to dry. Then I had to paint it. Then I had to wait for it to dry. Then I had to paint it again. This was in one day. It's done.
So it
also doesn't smell.
You forgot to spackle because you got a lot of holes.
That's why you use thick vinyl. It's a pro tip. Don't have to patch the holes.
And to not have to clean the walls beforehand.
Hey, so we did have that at the house. We had that mural up at the house for how many years? Nova was 1, so 6 years.
Yeah.
And we pulled it off. Like I pulled it off clean. I had to use a little bit of heat, but I pulled it off all clean, and you couldn't even tell there was anything there.
Yeah. But like that just gives you an idea, like in terms of if you're going to go in and paint, like painting is not a fun process, right? So even if it's as simple as like you're going to change one color, sometimes vinyl is the easier option, right? I mean, that's why this surface refinishing films are coming out, is because if you're going to do all the cabinets in a hospital, right? Like it is an expensive process to take away, rooms from patients. So if you can do it in Dynoc, right, and it can be done in 2 minutes, or you can do it in Metamark Me and it can be done in 3 hours, and then the room is back to them. Like that's a huge time savings for them. Yeah. And also it looks just as good. Like that's kind of why we did it the way we did here, is like, well, if this is a sign podcast, we probably should, use the materials that we have to actually redo the space. So
it's a good idea. Tape and markers are not a sign supply.
It can be though, if the messaging is
for everybody that's listening. Walk around your shop right now and see how many signs are written and taped up. Let them know that's
at least the high class ones are when they put them in the laminate sleeves, not laminate them, the sleeves.
Yep,
laminate sleeves.
That's every shop. Every shop has something by their saying, "Hey, your mom doesn't work here," or whatever it might be. Everybody has one. Please punch out. Duh.
The funniest part about you
please
saying,
turn off lights when I leave.
Hey, your mom doesn't work here, is there was at least 10 people listening that have that exact sign by their sink.
Guaranteed.
I guarantee you.
And shut these lights off when you leave. Yeah. Really?
Wait a minute. I have that at home. Yeah. No, I'm joking.
Paper and tape too. Sharpie.
Yeah, just right on the wall.
Yeah, I mean, that pretty much covers everything I had to cover. The last one, two last questions I have for you. What are we talked about some add-ons. What are some ways that you guys will upscale sign that is surprisingly, it's not very cost effective, right? But it's something maybe people don't think about until you were like, hey, do you want to also do this?
I usually leave that to my designers. They're really good at it. I'll say something and our designers will be like, no, that won't look good. I'm actually going to do this completely different. And I'm like, that sounds great to me. You guys save my life every day. So that I can't answer. It would more so be them.
Okay. Interesting. And then the last one I have is you talked about some projects, obviously the ones you're working on, but what's a project that stands out in your head where maybe it was not a huge success? Maybe it was like, hey, this is something we learned that we can do better. And maybe I'm sure the sign still came out great, but it was like the process of it was a little more different than normal.
I have one in mind that I actually mentioned earlier, how the landlord said, you guys can't drill any more holes in this building. and there was an existing pan sign. She said, we have to use the existing frame. I was like, okay, that's fine. We'll just have a weirder shaped pan sign because it doesn't really go with the logo. So we fabricated it, and the pan sign had a lip to it on the back, which made it about 2 inches smaller because it had a 1 inch lip at the top, 1 inch at the bottom, so it wouldn't fit on that existing frame. And we had to have the installation tech on site almost retrofit that top and bottom lip to be able to fit over the existing frame, which is very much stuck in my head, and I will never forget getting a call from the installer saying, hey, there's an inch lip on your sign, the top and bottom, and I didn't realize that. No, didn't even cross my mind. Yeah. So that's just one that I'll never forget.
Yeah. Yeah. It's always funny the things you don't like. When we were setting up here, right, and the lights are in the way, right? We've set all the cameras up, set all the lights up. And then when you go to do it live, you're like, oh, it's actually not quite perfect anymore. But just the little things you can miss when you're doing a checklist for installing a sign that can slow it down by a lot. So. Yeah.
And when you're used to doing the same thing for the same client every day, and then you have something like that where you're like, wait, what? No, I've not seen this. How am I supposed to move forward? Mm-hmm. And then I have to go to our installation manager and say, what would you do? Yeah.
I think we see it with on the Facebook groups when someone will be like, hey, does anyone know how to access this sign, right? Or they'll just be looking at it like, I have no idea how this thing opens. I've never seen this before. Or my favorite one is when they'll have the old clips for Flex Face, right? And they just post a picture of the clip. They're like, does anyone know what this is? And it's always, whoever comments is always the oldest dude that's been in the comment section. He's like, you don't know what those are? We've been using them for 100 years. Be like, yeah, but we actually haven't been using them for 15 years, right? So if you haven't done it in a while, it's not like a brand new thing that's out there. So, but yeah, it's very little things that can kind of trip you up. So, but yeah, that was kind of all the questions I had. Do you guys have anything else to add?
Any shout outs you want to give out to your peeps or to
tell us what makes Signarama Troy.
Yeah, Signarama Troy national branding.
So what makes it, what do you want to say about the company, or what do you want to say about the people that work there?
I think our culture is just different. We even have a culture club where we plan events. Like on Friday, we did a Tiger's opening day barbecue. So we had our paint guy and our installation manager barbecue hot dogs.
And I wasn't invited?
Hey, I tried to get your LinkedIn message. Tyler must have not forwarded it over to you.
Yeah. It's always about Tyler.
Beans and rice don't go well on a grill.
I can make it work.
I got a guy.
So yeah, we just do that. And then for everyone's birthdays, we have birthday cards that get passed around for everyone to sign, just to make people feel a little bit more seen.
Sounds like a great idea. Yeah. Anybody got a birthday coming up?
No.
I can't think of one. I can't.
See, we had one today, so had to get that around on Friday, signed by everybody, and get passed along to them this morning.
I think we should probably start that. But we should do that at least through next couple weeks.
It's just little April things 19th. That make people feel more appreciated and more seen.
Yeah, I like to feel appreciated once in a while.
Yeah, and you even get a little gift card in there.
Oh, even better.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
She's giving me bad ideas over here.
Listen.
Yeah.
You guys would probably use my money to get a gift card anyways.
I'd try if I could find a way to do it. What kind of obviously you talked about franchises. You guys obviously are making a lot of the Signarama ones that I know of. Mm-hmm. What are other ways that you guys are working with local sign companies?
I know that we do some outsourcing of a handful of our products. We get some metal extrusions. We do steel art, and I get a lot of my pan faces from Faces down in Alabama. They're a great company. I love working with them. And we usually do that just because it might be a little bit cheaper to use them to make them in-house, or they're just a couple days quicker than we are. And if they can get the pan sign out in 3 weeks and us get the door vinyls out at that same time, we'll use them. So, yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, thank you again for coming on. We appreciate it. We appreciate making the drive. Hopefully it wasn't terrible. Domingo's way late to his appointment now, so we did our job right.
Your doctor didn't call you, though, so that's on him.
I can make it.
For those that are watching, too, I forgot my watch today, if you've seen this on here.
It looks like you're still wearing one.
Yeah. And I got hit in the lip by Tyler.
Probably deserved it.
It was because the lights were messed up.
Yeah. He messed them up.
Cat?
What?
Bit by the cat?
No, that was me walking through the woods. Got stuck by prickers.
That sounds about right.
But I did not come in last 3 days of work last week because I did get hit in the face with a dumbbell.
So he literally
And I have it shaved because I know there's a big bruise under here.
he literally dropped a dumbbell on his face. So
it happens
make sure
sometimes.
to ask him about it next time you see him.
I busted my lip.
Yeah, it looks good.
I blame Planet Fitness.
It was an equipment issue.
It was an equipment issue.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think it was a user issue.
Might have been user error. Just hope that video don't. That's all on cameras. Just hope it doesn't get posted somewhere.
Oh, I hope so. I hope
I'll be on some blooper reel at some point. I guarantee.
Oh yeah,
it.
probably.
You got sent around the Planet Fitness employee group chat.
Yeah,
Yeah,
probably.
I'll guarantee it went around. People came over because I was literally like leaned over, dripping blood.
It's gonna be idiots at Planet Fitness. That's what it's gonna. That's gonna be the title of the video. What guy stacks 2 dumbbells on top of each other, and then drops one on his face?
That's how you got to do it sometimes.
Yep. Old man trying to be young again.
Yep. Yeah, we talked about that this morning too. Yeah. So, anyways, guys, before we leave today, I just wanted to ask you one quick question, and that is, what is a pirate's favorite application tape? R tape. R tape is the #1 application tape in the United States, and it comes with an RLA, which is a release liner adhesion, meaning it's going to stick to the liner. Even on cut graphics, if you roll it, it's not going to tunnel, wrinkle, or curl, or anything like that. So if you're looking for the best application tape for cut graphics out there, R tape RLA is for you, and you can get it at Wensco.com. That was all. Thanks again.
All
Appreciate
right,
it.
thanks, Carley.
Absolutely. Thank you for inviting me out.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
appreciate you coming out. Appreciate you supporting the podcast. So it's been awesome. So thank you. And then we'll see you guys in the next episode. So
Which way are we waving?
Bye.
This way?
Bye.
That way?
Which one are we supposed to wave to?
we don't know.
That one?
We're just making it up as we go. Okay, bye.
Bye.